Thank you for watching another episode of MC Spark Auto Body Wraps. Today I'll be wrapping this GT Mustang. And of course I started off by having my boy Ace come through and have the car detailed, washed clean thoroughly so that way I can get started. And once he had everything cleaned, I had him bring the car back into the garage so that way the party can get started. This is Mook Boy's wife car. It's going to be the same Nardo gray color that I did the Challenger, so that way, you know, all the cars will be matching as he requested. On the hood, you can see that there is a black painted panel. I had to eliminate the stripes on the panel so that way everything will go on smoothly and it won't look like braille or, you know, bumped over. So I started off with the roof of the car. I like to do it in sections. So I started off with one side, and once that side was completed and up to my liking, I went around to the other side before I cut out any access. Alright, and this is me excited and happy that I actually got to wrap this car. It took a minute for it to come, but finally got done. I requested, or I hit him up to wrap his cars back in December 2022. He brought it in around May. As far as the Challenger goes, it was around June, May for me to do it twice. And then he brought this around, I forgot when, but it wasn't that much long after. But it took a little minute. But I was just excited that I finally, you know, reached out to somebody who I admired and finally got a chance to get his car wrapped. And he liked his cars wrapped so much that he requested his wife's car to be wrapped. So I'm like, hell yes, I'm definitely down. So I started working on the passenger side panel. At this point, you can actually see the difference in between the silver, the way that the car originally came in, and the Nardo gray. The Nardo gray is like a flat gray color. It has like no flakes in it, no shimmer, no shine. It's not matte. It does come in matte, but this is a gloss Nardo gray, opposed to what silver looks like. Silver usually have like silver flakes in it to make it a little bit more, you know, glittery and noticeable, so that way you can see different shades as to why it's silver instead of just gray. So after I got majority of the work done, had to take a quick little break, make sure I look up to date, because I had potential customers always walking through, seeing that I was surrounded by other car workers, like car wash and tents and stuff like that. So I had to make sure I was, you know, my appearance was at least up to par, because I'm not a mechanic, didn't want to go around looking like one. But anyways, once I got to this louver, I wanted to give it some type of customization. So instead of doing that in a Nardo gray, I went forward and did it in a black. It looked really good in the black because it was a gloss black and it was like, you know, up against the Nardo gray. So it looked really, really good. It was fire. But it eventually got changed. He wanted everything to be gray, which you'll see later on in the further videos. So I moved on to doing the bottom panel under the door. That was pretty simple, just a tuck and a tuck. That didn't take long at all. Any type of air bubbles, that was easy to fix, because, you know, it could just be pulled and pulled again, pulled out and pulled forward again to make sure that it's clean. And that's around the tire, so you want to make sure that that stays really, really good. So what I like to do is use 3M tack, and that usually helps stick on there properly. And the 3M tag, I'll leave the description in the comments. That's to usually make sure that the wrap or anything that you're using doesn't come off. It basically adheres better. So I took off the windshield sprinkler. Yes, I'm calling it a windshield sprinkler because I don't know the proper name for it. I'm not a mechanic. But I went ahead and started on the hood of the car, and I had my baby girl, so I put her to work because she always wanted to be by my side. Might as well. And then boom, the power at my shop went out. So I was sitting there for at least 40 minutes. I took my baby girl home, came back, and it was still out. I wasn't going to stop working until they got it back up again. And they got it back up that same day. It took like a good 2 hours. So I took that as a break, just enough time for me to just go home, use the restroom, because the garage I was in didn't have a restroom, grab some food or whatever, made sure she was all right, and then came back, and it still wasn't fixed. But you know, I take things like that as a sign to take a break, basically. So I like to label everything once I get it cut out, so that way, you know, I don't waste any material. And this is how the bumper was looking. The back bumper was looking so far. It was nice and clean. Anything that you see that has a bump on it, that was just the paint. There was no dirt on this car. I made sure of it. Sometimes I like to use clay on the car as well to make sure that any dirt or debris that's on there would definitely be taken off. So at this point, I started working on the front bumper after I got done with this door piece. The front bumper, I learned to love it. It was a love-hate relationship. Me and bumpers used to always bump heads. Like, we would fight, go at it, and then I learned to just stay calm, manipulate the product. You know, heat is your best friend if any pieces you get stuck on it. Not too much heat, because of course it could add on a hole to it or whatever, but the more that you do with wrapping a car, the better you'll get at it, and it comes naturally afterwards. For me, it came naturally, period, but I just love it. I love it so much. It just came real natural once I got the hang of it. And hopefully anybody that's inspired by this, you'll learn to love it as well, because it does become a headache. Just don't lose faith in yourself, and just know that you have control over the product. It don't have control over you. Yes, that was a whole quote. So at this point, I started working on the door. You can see that I covered the door handle with the vinyl, and that's only because I had to do that in a different piece. I'm not familiar with taking off the door panel and then taking off the window to take off the door handle. I'm only used to unscrewing it from the door side. So this was different for me. The person that normally does it, he wasn't down to do it. So either way, it worked out and it came out looking really good. So don't be, too down on yourself if you don't know how to do something. You just got to learn how to finesse it and make it look good, like you did it on purpose, which I did. So as far as these creases go, make sure you lift up the wrap so that way you can cut back into it, so that way, it won't automatically start lifting again. But this is how it looks so far. As you can see, I did the door handle black, I did the window louvers black, and you'll see in the next clip how I had to get it changed. So it looked really good. I really liked it a lot. I assumed that he would too, or maybe she changed it, but either way, it's up to the customer, not me. They didn't want nothing custom. They wanted a flat out Nardo gray 100 on the car. So you see what I mean? I had to finesse the door handle so that way it looks like I actually removed it, but I didn't. I just basically just covered it with some more wrap, and it came out looking really good. So in this clip, you'll see that the door handles, the gas tank, and the louvers are removed from the black, and I'm going to apply the Nardo gray back onto it so that way it matches the rest of the car. But this is a good example of the difference between a silver and a Nardo gray. But at this point, the car was basically done. The only downfall was that this wasn't the shop that I normally worked in, so the space that I was using, it was shared with someone else, and his customers or him was leaving food all over the car. Somebody scratched up the door piece. It was just bad. So I got up out of there ASAP. But it got done. His wife loved it when I dropped it off to her. He was happy with it. So I got 2 cars done, and I only got 1 more left to do after this. This car didn't come down from Georgia. It was basically local, and it had some work to be done on it. She just wanted the paint to look good before she got the engine worked on, but she was super happy with it. Her mom was happy with it. Of course, I'm sure he was happy with it because he wasn't in the city for this particular car, but I got the job done despite the haters trying to leave damages on it, and it came out really, really good. Everybody was happy, got paid, and of course, they'll be back for more. But thank you for watching another episode of NC Spark Auto Body Wraps. Stay tuned for the next one.